Hello everybody, Vic here with another video, and today we're talking who should have survived in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Listen, in every horror movie you watch, we all have our thoughts on, hey, this character should have lived, this character should have died instead. We all have our thoughts and feelings about it. It's not up to us, it's up to the writer and the director to figure this out and do what they think is best to make the best film possible. But a lot of times I find myself disagreeing with the decisions that were made, and that for me happened a lot in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So I'm going to give some ideas, suggestions about who I think should have survived. And if I'm having someone survive, I'm going to try to have somebody get killed off in their place so that the movie still is maintaining its body count. It's basically the idea of like if you're saving one, you got to take out a different one instead. So let's start. Oh, actually, also, by the way, in the comments, let me know your thoughts on which characters you'd have liked to see and have survived. And if that's the case, like, is there somebody you would want to actually be taken out instead? And of course, if you like the video, hit the like button, thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. All right, let's talk about the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. Not a huge body count here. We have maybe 3-4 death scenes overall. Who should have survived the original Nightmare on Elm Street film? Well, you have a friendship group of 4 people, basically. You have Tina, Rod, Glenn, and Nancy. And by the end of the film, 3 of the 4 have died because Nancy, of course, I guess is the idea she has to be left alone against all odds, back against the wall, has to fight against Freddy by herself at the end. Makes perfect sense. But can you save one of them? Can one of those teens live along with Nancy and be there with her at the end? Okay, Tina has to die because she's our shock death at the beginning of the film. She's our Janet Leigh from Psycho, our would-be main character who we follow early on, but then is killed off 20 minutes in. So Tina's death is brutal, sets a tone, makes things unpredictable. So you have to have her death. Rod, I don't think Rod needed to be killed. I mean, he's in jail. So at that point, Freddy basically has framed him for murder. So, I mean, Rod's probably going to be going to prison. So it's like, I don't know if you actually need to kill him, but Freddy just like adding insult to injury is like, listen, man, I framed you. I made the world think you killed your girlfriend, and now I'm going to kill you on top of that. So that's pretty brutal stuff for Rod, who never really becomes truly likable, but I would say Rod is not unlikable either. You do kind of feel bad for him. So him getting killed at that point, but it's still a horror film, so you have to have the body count. So I understand Rod being killed off. Freddy, once he feels like Rod's no longer serving his purpose, doesn't care about establishing a red herring anymore. So it's like, okay, let's just kill off Rod. Glenn, wow, Johnny Depp. Is there a path for survival? Is there some redemption for poor Glenn who gets pulled into a damn bed? And I don't know if the human body even has as much blood as comes out of that damn bed for a damn 25-minute waterfall, like a bloody Niagara Falls. His mom walks in, has to see that terrible stuff. But, you could have had Glenn survive. The setup for his death to me is so silly because Nancy literally tells him, listen, Glenn, whatever you do, don't fall asleep. She gives him a warning like, man, do not fall asleep. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep. Glenn knows the stakes here. He knows something's going on. So he's like, okay, the plan is for 12 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and I guess just not, well, he goes and lays in his bed and he puts his headphones on and basically falls asleep. So the plan is to help Nancy meet her at midnight. His mom even wakes him up at 11:42. Says, Glenn, what are you doing? Get some sleep. But he's awake. He looks at the clock. It's 11:42. Like, dude, you're supposed to in 18 minutes meet Nancy. Why are you like going back to sleep? Get out of bed. What the hell? Like, they make Glenn like the dumbest person who kind of sets himself up for death. Like, man, if that's a girl you like who's trusting you to be there at midnight and you're just laying in the bed, falling asleep, getting pulled in the bed. Okay, that's it. Let's say there's a scenario where Glenn actually does a smart thing and doesn't lay in his bed with his headphones on, doesn't fall asleep. At midnight, he actually does show up. He's a part of Nancy's plan. When Nancy pulls Freddy out of the real world, or into the real world, Glenn standing there with a baseball bat was, I guess, the plan. He's looking for Freddy, can't find him. They think that maybe Nancy's just crazy, nothing really happened. But then Freddy pops up and stabs Glenn. Not a kill shot, but Glenn backs up into a door and falls to the ground, basically. Stabbed, but not necessarily dead, just withering on the ground. Then you do the entire ending with Nancy against Freddy, and after that, she comes back up the stairs, and she finds Glenn still alive, and we just like end the movie with him getting pulled into the ambulance. There's a pathway for Glenn to survive, but going by my earlier thoughts about, okay, if I'm doing that, then I technically need to actually kill off a character instead. Okay. Damn it, I know that Freddy's targeting teens, but let's kill off John Saxon. We don't need his character to survive, and it would be shocking. How you do it, I mean, he's a disbeliever throughout the film, so at a certain point, Freddy, to really mess with Nancy, is like, okay, normally I wouldn't target the adults, but to really get in Nancy's head, I want to kill off one of her parents. Her mom never sleeps, just is drinking all the time, so we're going to actually just kill, unfortunately, the John Saxon at this point hasn't had his coffee for the day, takes a quick nap in his police car, and just something happens in the police car where Freddy kills him. Boom, now you have just an impactful death as Glenn's death. You placed one impactful death with another one. Glenn survives at the end, or at least is on route to the hospital to maybe get a blood transfusion or something. Who knows, but I can see a pathway for Glenn to survive there, but you got to kill off Nancy's father instead to have an impactful death. Okay, let's go to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. This movie completely lacks impactful deaths except for one, and that is going to be Jesse's best friend, Grady. Watching the film, because the movie only has a very few characters, you do actually get to know the characters that are there. So I got to give it credit. Like, when Grady dies, it's not a movie with a big body count, and the characters who do die normally are like sort of side characters you don't care about. So when Grady dies, it's actually a very impactful death. You actually feel really bad for both Grady and his parents. And I want there to be a pathway for Grady to survive because I love his, I like his character a lot. You love the dynamic between him and Jesse, how they start off as kind of enemies, and then they do a bunch of push-ups together and so they're friends. But then they actually seem like good friends, and Grady's being a good friend to him by letting Jesse stay the night at his house. So I want a pathway for Grady to live, but at the same time, if you take out his death, there's actually no impactful deaths in the entire film then. Because we know the final two, the guy and the girl, Jesse and his girlfriend, they're not going to die. So you have to keep Grady's death, but I wish there was a way to keep Grady alive. The path to keep Grady alive is simply about having more characters. There's not enough characters that we focus on the film. You need about 2 more teens in the teen group. If you have 2 more teens that are a little bit more disposable, you can kill them, and then Grady can survive. Because this movie has such a low body count that you have to have at least one death of a main character, I guess, and that's going to be Grady. But if you had more characters, there'd be more room for maybe Grady to survive, but unfortunately, that's not the case. All right, let's move on to Dream Warriors Part 3. Fascinating. Should have Nancy survive at the end? Do we save Nancy and keep her around for the sequels? I'm going to just say I think Nancy served her purpose, and I think that there was no reason for her to survive past this, so I'm okay with her dying. It's an impactful death, but Nancy's arc feels finished here at the end of Part 3, and they've transitioned from Nancy to Kristen as the main girl, final girl at this point in the franchise. Among the teens, who should have survived? Man, I'll tell you what. Kristen has to survive. We're keeping her. Kincaid has to survive. My boy Kincaid. I have an interview in the archives with Kincaid. If anybody wants to check that out. The great Ken Sagos. I have a full interview with him. Who do you take out? Who should have survived? Well, I think there's 2 choices. I think you let the Wizard Master survive or you let Taryn survive. They're both strong characters, the Wizard Master and Taryn. Now, they both have very cool death scenes, so, I mean, you're killing off one. If you're keeping one of them, then you're losing a great death scene, but them versus Joey. I'm okay if you want to kill off Joey. If one of them survive, Wizard Master or Taryn, they can survive, but we got to kill off Joey. And with Joe, you have to give him a memorable death scene. I mean, Joey gets taken hostage and whatever, and that's cool. But I'm thinking we don't need Joey. Kill off Joey. Your preference of Terran or Wizard Master survive. The way the Wizard Master dies, why the hell would you run at Freddy? Of all the knowledge you have and the idea of your powers, what why are you gonna run at Freddy and make it easy for him? You run right up to him like in within reaching distance. That was just stupid, Wizard Master. Maybe you deserve to die because you're stupid there. Taryn did everything right. I don't think she deserved to die. So that ending is kind of brutal for her. But yeah, that's all I would say. I would say either pick your favorite between the Wizard Master and Terran. I would have them survive and just kill off Joey, but give Joey a memorable death scene. Okay, Dream Master Part 4. Who should have survived? Well, I want Kincaid to be there for the future movies. So I want Kincaid to survive because it'd be a huge benefit to have Kincaid around for Part 5, Part 6, future sequels. But if you're making the commitment to take out the Dream Warriors, it feels like if you know you're going to kill off Joey and Kristen, then you probably got to take out Kincaid as well. Like once they start that track of like, okay, we're killing off the Dream Warriors, how do you let one of them survive? Then you have to kill off all of them, I guess, right? So if they didn't make a decision to kill off all the Dream Warriors, then I'd probably have Kincaid survive, but it just wouldn't work with the rest of the film. Now, in terms of the rest of the characters, who should survive, who I would take out, I actually would have Rick survive, Alice's brother, and I would, instead of him dying, I would have the boyfriend Dan die. I think from watching the film, once you transition to the new characters, it feels to me like Alice and Rick are the main relationship, are the main characters. Their brother and sister dynamic, their relationship with their father, that whole family dynamic feels like the core of the movie. And once a teen starts dying, it's kind of going in a predictable order for me. But then when Rick dies, it kind of feels out of place because I'm like, well, to me, he felt like kind of the main character outside of Alice. So it was surprising to me. But then I saw what they were doing. I was like, oh, they're transitioning to Alice and Dan being the main characters. Traditional final girl, final guy couple defeats Freddy at the end. I think this story and this movie works better with the brother-sister dynamic defeating Freddy. You still highlight Alice as like the main person fighting Freddy, but I think those two work better. A truly happy ending with Rick and Alice together at the end with the father trying to do a better job after what happened here. I think that would work well. And also, Rick's death scene is just very weak. I mean, the whole karate thing with Robert Englund not being there and Invisible Freddy killing Rick, it's a weak death scene anyways. And apparently, they considered actually keeping Rick alive when they got to the point of doing his death scene with the karate thing. They were like, man, this is kind of lame. Should we just keep Rick alive? And the deciding factor of them killing him off was the fact that they had already filmed the scene at the funeral with Rick, Rick's funeral scene. They'd already filmed it. And then Rick coming out the casket. They're like, okay, we already spent all that time and energy filming that scene. So that scene's going to be a complete waste. We might as well kill off Rick then. So that was the deciding factor. But I guess there was a discussion at that point of just keeping Rick alive, but it wasn't to be. But I think as much as I like Dream Master, and it's one of my favorite sequels, I think Rick's a stronger character than Dan, and I think that could have made more sense to carry Rick and Alice forward as the main characters. And I think Part 5 would have been better also. Okay, speaking of Part 5, very simple choice for me in Part 5. You have Yvonne, Alice's friend, who is a disbeliever, who's unlikable, who's basically a hater throughout the film, unhelpful, denies the whole thing, always gives Alice bad advice. She is spared. And meanwhile, Mark, who almost immediately is on board, believes what Alice is saying, is helpful, wants to help research Freddy, is just being a good friend to Alice. So 2 friend characters, one the audience likes more and is more helpful and is more invested into what's going on with Freddy. and one who the audience doesn't care about and really seems like is negative throughout the film. Are they making the right choice? They kill off Mark, they kill off the likable one, and they keep the one that's unlikable. Is there a strategy to that? The idea like, the audience, you like him, we're going to kill him, and you don't like her? Okay, we're keeping her. Does that make sense from an emotional death impact thing? Whatever. I see the logic. I understand it. But you've already killed off Dan, which I think is the impactful death of Elm Street 5. Once you killed off Dan, which I think is your likable, would-be main final guy, you expect him and Alice to kind of make it out in the end together. Once you kill off Dan, I think it gives you more flexibility with the rest of your teen characters because you already have the impactful death. I think you can throw the audience a bone here and let Mark survive and kill off Yvonne. Yvonne, to me, you can make some epic swimming pool death where she dies swimming pool-wise. Mark's comic book death, I would still have that sequence, but just have him survive. Have him do his, fight off Freddy. The same way you had Tracy kind of fight off Freddy and Freddy's dead. Do that here with Mark. Let Mark survive. Mark, Alice, Jacob at the end. Their future is what they want. Reward the character Mark for having faith in Alice and actually helping her and being all in. I think that's the route to go. And like I said, you already killed off Dan, so you have the impactful death there. That's what I would do with that. Okay. Freddy's dead. Very clear for me, similar to what I said in part 5. You have our main character, Maggie, who is going to survive because she's Freddy's daughter. She's our main protagonist. And to me, you have a choice of 2 other characters. You have John Doe, who we follow from the very beginning, and you have Tracy, who comes along and is our teen character. And in this movie, they choose to let Tracy survive, and they kill off John Doe. And personally, I would flip that. You've killed off the other teens. I'm killing off Tracy also. That sequence with her father, it may seem harsh because Freddy's playing an abusive father. All the parents in this movie are abusive, though. I mean, Spencer gets killed by his abusive father in a way, and Carlos gets killed by his abusive mother in a way. But I would have Tracy die, John Doe survive. John Doe feels like a fun character who maybe deserved more investigation of who was he? Where did he come from? We don't get any answers about who the hell he is. He just dies. We know he's not Freddy's kid, but I would like the end to be Maggie, John Doe, and then the doctor character. To me, that would make Freddy's Dead a more satisfactory ending. I'm not the biggest fan of Tracy in the role. I know some people love Tracy, but I could do without her. So I'm killing off her, and I'm keeping John Doe for Freddy's Dead. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. There's nobody here who I would keep alive. I think that the most sympathetic character is probably Julie the babysitter, but they wanted to recreate the skin the cat scene from the opening, from the original Nightmare, so you need that scene, and that's an impactful death where you have a likable character being killed. So I'm keeping that. You make a case that you could actually keep Julie's character alive and kill off the doctor woman who's like so against Nancy throughout the film. You can make a case that why don't you kill her off and keep Julie alive? If you want to make that case, I understand. But Julie dying in front of the kid really puts the fear into the kid of like, oh my goodness, what the hell? So it puts the fear in the audience as well. Freddy versus Jason. Man, I'll tell you what. Any sympathetic deaths that you could see that character surviving? Well, I think Kelly Rowland definitely had to die here. No, I didn't really like any of the teen characters. I'm probably. Oh well, actually, you know what? I got an idea for this. Yeah, okay. Will's friend Mark, I think, the guy that one of the few kills that Freddy has. He was a likable character. If there's a way to find him, if he can survive, and I mean, you can have a third survivor, so you just don't have to have Will and Laura. You can have Mark helping out as well. He had his whole background with Freddy, with his brother and all that. There was more to explore there. He seemed like a deeper character. Killing him off seemed like kind of a wasted thing. He's probably the likable teen of the group, and so he goes out too early. I would at least have him survive to the end. If you want Freddy to come at the end, I get that. If you can keep Mark alive and kill off Will or Laurie, that would make me happy. I know you really can't kill off Laurie, so maybe tragically Will dies in the face of trying to save his one true love, Laurie, and you just keep Laurie and Mark as an odd couple together at the end, alive. I would be okay with that. And then we got remake Freddy, remake Nightmare. Anybody there should have survived. No, can't do it. Didn't really care about the characters in the remake, so remake Freddy. So remake Nightmares, killing off them, keeping the same. So okay, well, that's pretty much it then. That's the list of the characters who I would have survive. In the comments, let me know if there's characters you'd want to survive, and if doing so, who would you replace them with? The Nightmare films, once you get to part 3, 4, 5, 6, almost every film I feel like has a character die who I feel like should have survived over a different character. And that says a lot also about just us caring about the characters of the Nightmare series. They do have better characters probably than the Halloween franchise and the Friday the 13th franchise. So props to the Nightmare series as a whole for having good characters. All right, we'll have more Freddy content coming for you soon. Until next time, you guys take care.